proposed legislation would shrink the size of government. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Pennsylvania State Representative Thomas Murt. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, Jill. Great to be here again.
This is a House Bill, House Bill 153, that would actually reduce the size of the Pennsylvania House from 203 members down to 153 members. Why reduce the size of your own body?
Jill, this is legislation that has been introduced by Representative Sam Smith from Punxsutawney, who also happens to be the Speaker of the House. Now, in response to your question, why would we consider this legislation? There are many interested parties, both in the House and across Pennsylvania, that believe that the House of Representatives is simply too big. The House of Representatives in the Commonwealth is the second largest in the entire nation, the first being California. And a very large body like that tends to be inefficient. The body is intended to be deliberative. Democracy, we know, is not always the most efficient form of government, but it's certainly the best form of government. But we believe that by shrinking the House and henceforth making the legislative districts a little bit larger, we think that we would make the democratic process more efficient.
Let's focus on how this would actually work. You would have to have this piece of legislation pass the House and then the Senate, not just through one session, but through 2 consecutive sessions, but then it would have to go before the voters.
That's correct, which really makes the challenge a bit more daunting, passing through the House and the Senate in 2 consecutive sessions. And then going before the voters of Pennsylvania. But I think that if we can successfully manipulate those first 2 hurdles and we can get this before the voters of Pennsylvania, I believe that the people of Pennsylvania will vote affirmative on it. I have heard from my own constituents and people outside the district as well. People really are looking for more efficient government, and I believe that a smaller House of Representatives would be a step in the right direction.
So if this did become a referendum on the ballot, you think that voters would vote to reduce the size of the legislature?
I believe that they would. One of the part of the legislative intent of this bill is to save money. And we believe that that might be achieved. Now, we're still going to need a certain amount of staffers, district office staff and so forth, possibly even more district office staff, because as legislative districts get bigger, you will need more staff to attend to your constituents, your district office work and so forth. And I personally am not convinced it's going to save money, but I do believe that it will make the legislative process less cumbersome.
Now, you mentioned potentially larger district offices because you're serving a larger number of constituents. What could this potentially mean for constituent services?
Well, it depends. If the House of Representatives is permitted, for example, I think the districts that will be most adversely impacted are rural districts. Right now, every legislative district has about 60 to 62,000 people in it. Now, if the legislative districts are pushed up to 1,000 constituents, that might require an additional district office in a different geographic part of your county in order to be able to handle your constituent work. And an additional office with the rent and the utilities and the staff that would be required might be a little more expensive than what the expenses that we incur right now. But the most important part is that we are able to care for our constituents, that when people need help, that they can come in and get it.
Now, when we talk about what this could potentially mean, going from 203 members down to 153 members, do you think this could maybe streamline the process of moving legislation forward?
There's no doubt in my mind that it could streamline the process. Many legislative ideas, many bills that are introduced simply wither on the vine, so to speak, in committee, and they're outstanding ideas that we have been given from the people of Pennsylvania. But I think that a smaller House of Representatives would be able to streamline that process.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Jill.
We've been talking with Pennsylvania State Representative Thomas Murt. I'm Jill Horner for Comcast Newsmakers.